Alrighty, we're going to start Beaver politics here tonight on a strange Halloween edition. The roles are going to be a little bit different here. I'm going to be down in the moderator section trying to learn how to do that thing right. And Mrs. Radical and Nerdy are going to manage the conversation. And I'm not going to take any more time. But enjoy this face. I'm supposed to be Spock or Vulcan of some sort. Anyways,
I love it.
Fun tonight. This is a really fascinating, interesting, and relevant conversation tonight to Canadian politics, even if the focus is on the United States. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Did you want me to start?
You think so?
Okay. This is kind of my wheelhouse right now because I've been hanging out in American lives a lot, especially in debate spaces. So we're talking a lot about American politics and how it affects us. So I just kind of wanted to start with like the American politics side of it, just because the election is coming up in 5 days. Yay. I can't believe it's 5 days.
I'm ready for it.
Oh my God. I'm going to cry either way, obviously, but, I think I can't wait. I can't wait. I was saying this earlier to Mrs. Radical and the Mrs. that I feel very strongly that Kamala is going to win, very strongly. I'm very confident about it, but I still have those moments of doubt every once in a while. And I think it's just mostly when I see so much of the hate and the vitriol that comes from the other side. And it's night and day, right? We'll talk, I kind of like was going to talk about the speeches and stuff like that afterwards, but since you already brought it up, like the speeches, when you look at the massive audiences that they had for like their closing arguments, essentially, you look at the difference between the two, and it was night and day, right? And it does actually relate to the picture that Emma Strong sent you, right? It's like, it's a new way forward on one, and it's like, what did I put on it? Hate and anger from another one. You have hope and a new way forward, and hate and anger on another side. And I don't know, for me, it just boggles my mind how other people can't see that it's like, it's hope. It's like, it is a path forward. Like, everybody's like, we need a change. Everybody on the right is like, we need a change, we need a change, we need a change. But it's not a change if you're going back to the same person that we had before. Like, that's not a change. If you want change.
See it. I heard somebody talking today on one of the news shows, and they said women are voting in droves.
They are. They're coming out in mass numbers.
And that's what we need. And we need them, to have that confidence to vote, or it's their last vote.
I think it's over 50 million people have already done early voting in the States. And I mean, you look at that, that's almost half of them. It's about a third to half of the people that voted last election. So it's amazing that they have that many people coming out right now that are, and it is the women. And if you look at a lot of the states, it is mostly Republican, or not Republicans, it's mostly Democrats that have been voting early, because they tell what party affiliation has voted, but they don't tell who they voted for, obviously, right? But you still have a lot of Republicans that are not voting Republican this time around, because they might be registered Republican, but they're voting Democrat because they see what's going on. Yeah, they see what's going on. But yeah, looking back at like those two speeches, you have something that's very, very reminiscent of like 1939 Madison Square Gardens back then. And then
even want to go there, to even want to cross that threshold and mimic that event without even thinking about the words that were spoken at that event. Let's not even look at that. That they actually entertained mimicking that event is appalling.
Yeah,
that's 100%. Why I was at the point where I got really low again, and I thought I can't watch anything anymore and all. And then I thought, no, what I need to do is I need to spend night and day, going from different live to different live and seeing what's being said
Yeah.
and making sure. And it astonishes me that, of course, the maggots that come up in the box are still apologizing for the whole thing. They are still making excuses that it wasn't, Trump knew nothing about it. The other thing that I find shocking, as long as it's gone on, is, they always say, can you show me proof, or can you Google that, or where'd you find that? I figured out today that it has to be they can't spell Google, because it is what the general thing is. Well, there's this law that they had in Congress, and one side said no and the other side said yeah, and then people were unalive because of it, so we got to vote for Trump because the economy was great. And they can't tell you, they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't know the slightest thing about what
they don't look into the reasons
about.
they don't look into the reasons as to why the economy was great, though, right? He was riding on Obama's coattails the whole time. Emma Strong, I see you every once in a while because you go Amanda Rose's live at night. I see you there. I hang out in Amanda Rose's live every single night when I'm not doing trivia.
That's what I do too, and I get so infuriated. That guy Larry last night, he was troll hopping to all of the lives. And this guy is from Louisiana, and he started out in everybody's live asking all these questions like he was, and then he got rude, condescending, misogynistic. He was drunk and all. And 24 hours later, he was in the third live I called him in. And he stays there forever, but that's the kind of thing. And we're getting new messages and comments on our page that say, they're threats about canceling out a red vote, and they're going on the women's pages and doing that. And the other thing that's extremely disturbing is there is a TV commercial that's running constantly here that makes a point to let you know that how you can look up to see if your neighbors and family and friends voted and how many times they have voted and what party they're registered to. And it is extremely...
Seriously?
I think it's being done, obviously, as an intimidation, because even though I think she's going to win at the polls, this is far from over. And to me, this is the scariest part the next couple of months.
Yeah. So, Smarsh asked a question in the comments, isn't that illegal? So it's not your voting, not your voting record, but the fact that you voted is public record. Like, that is public information. And party affiliation, anybody, you can look that up. They have all of that anytime that they, anytime they're looking up somebody and it's like a political thing, they can find out what their party affiliation is, and if they voted in the past, but I don't think they ever show who they voted for.
No, but it has your full name, your address, who all lives in your house with you, what party you're associated with, and that's why I changed my affiliation to independent.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
There was a person in a live earlier this morning. They're like, "Oh, who are you voting for?" Because we were talking about economic and trickle down in economics and how it's not a good thing. When Reagan started trickle down economics, it didn't work and blah blah blah. He comes up, he goes, "Well, I'm not voting for Trump but I'm not putting a woman in office. A woman needs to be in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant. And the host just let this go on. I was like,
Yeah.
it was odd.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I wouldn't think that all states would require you to affiliate with a party anyway. Like even here, like up here, we actually don't even register for a party. Like, you can be part of a political organization, like political party up here. Most people aren't. I think it's like 2% of the population are actually part of a political party up here. So it's so different, but yeah, I mean, I just getting back to like the speeches of it, like just looking at, just even like looking at the difference. Stop. Sorry, my cat is like wanting to be on me so bad right now. Every time I talk to people, she always wants to be by me. Okay, so it was just night and day. Like you look at Kamala with the lit White House behind her and the flags on the side, and you're just sitting there and like just watching her. There was just, she looked like a president. Okay, she looked like a president. And then you look at like 45 and he's all like this and walking around and his mismatched toner on his face, but whatever. And you know, it's just the language that comes out of each, like between night and day between the two of them. You know, you have the messages of hope on the one side, and then you have the messages of they're eating the dogs and cats on the other side. You know, like it's fear and fear mongering, and like when you take all of that and you loop it into like what's going on up here, they're doing the same thing. Like Polyev is doing the same thing. They're using the same lines. They're using the same jargon. They're using fear tactics, and that's what it is. Like, MS Lotus said something like a couple weeks ago with the BC election, and it really stuck with me, is like, people need to start voting for something and not against something, right? And that's a lot of what, in all honesty, that's what a lot of the Republicans are doing that aren't voting for Trump. They're voting against Trump because they don't agree with him. They may not fully agree with Kamala, but they're voting for him. They're voting against him. And I think that's what a lot of people up here end up doing too with especially our federal election, right? They vote against Trudeau. They're not voting for anything. They're voting against somebody, and all he is a figurehead for the party.
And a lot of Republicans are just insistent that, you know, she is not qualified, which just kills me when you compare her record to his record and they say, you know, she hasn't done anything. But the other thing is, I wanted to say, when she does her speeches, she exudes joy and love and community and togetherness. She makes you feel like presidents used to make you feel in this country, and it's a good warm feeling. I am terrified.
This is what we need to be speaking about. They are holding her to an unrealistic standard, and they're holding him to no standard at all. Her life work has been based around public service. Impeccable, her reputation. His reputation is a felon. He's an adulterer. He's considered in some circles possibly involved with pedophilia. This man, take it away, nerd.
But what they're saying is they don't care what he did before he was president. All of the 34 felonies, they're still going to be overturned. They still don't believe he's a felon because he hasn't been sentenced. So
yeah, they don't understand the justice system.
Yeah, we are fighting so much blatant ignorance, and it's sad. And they just did a study, and 48% of Americans read below the seventh grade level, and most of them can't comprehend. And that's what Nerdy and I see in these lives is, and that's how he picked his base. He went to Christians because Christians have faith in something. So he made them have faith in him, and they will donate to whoever. So he knew he was going to get his money. He went to the people that are poor and are uneducated, and he says he did it on purpose. He is telling them every day what he thinks of them, and they still don't know that they're undesirables just like me as soon as this election's over. And he is threatening that anybody that he finds out didn't vote for him, that there will be consequences starting November 6th.
And it's funny because like people are so apologetic for that because they're like, he won't do that. He won't do that. Like they don't realize that he literally does everything that he says he's going to do. But they take him at his word for like a lot of things, but like the things that, but then they'll go and twist themselves into pretzels and be like, well, you just don't understand the context of that.
But
well, no, this is
isn't that
what
an
he actually
incentive
meant,
not
right?
to- Isn't that an incentive though to vote him out, like, or to not vote for him when he says something like that? Like,
No,
You think so?
they
You'd
don't
think.
see that as okay. Somebody approached
That's just
it
Trump.
today.
That's just how he talks.
like if
Right,
somebody's
it's
telling me they're coming after me, I'm gonna do everything I can to roadblock them from coming
Yeah.
back. Coming after
But
me.
what MAGA is saying, and somebody approached it today as, okay, you're saying that it's no big deal. Everything Nerdy just said that they're saying. And they said, yeah, it's no big deal. And the host said, well, then don't you consider that he's not keeping his word, that he's lying? And they said, oh my God, you people. I mean, it no matter which way, and that is why he is so successful. And y'all
But that's the
give.
game of it all, isn't it? The smoke and mirrors of it all for every single one of them.
Yeah. Down in the comments, they were just talking about there's a like you can go and check online. It's trumpfile.org. And it actually has like everything about Trump from birth to now. So it has like all 4,000 of his lawsuits that he's been involved in, all that kind of stuff. Smarsh, just speak up. Don't no hands or anything. Just speak up.
Okay, so I was talking on this live and I asked this woman why she's voting for Trump. Her words were, I'm voting for Trump because of women's rights and we need to keep women safe in the bathroom or spaces safe. And I'm like, so you're not only a Trump supporter, you're being a transphobic person because of what you're saying is we need to keep women safe, but you're voting for the very man who will not do what you want. See,
Yeah.
it's kind of a hypocrisy. And I explained that, just goes, well, you don't know anything. You don't live in the U.S. Yeah, but what happens in your country comes up to my country.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have a choice. I have to keep an eye on what goes on the election down there to see what's going to happen and affect my country. And
You
oh,
know,
she had some choice words I can't use, but yeah.
yeah. Zojin said something down in the comments. I'm guessing Kamala wins, but Trump ends up president. So, funny thing is, there's actually a bunch of people who are actually voting for Trump just because they think that if he doesn't win, it's going to be another January 6th all over the thing, all over again. The thing is they're prepared for a January 6th this time. They're prepared for riots. They're prepared for an uprising. And and these people who think that they can take on the United States government is there's not much. I don't want to be ableist. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay. They won't be able to take them on. That, like drones and all that kind of stuff. They'd never be able to take them on. I had another thought in my head. It was something you were talking about. Oh, the women, the standards. Back to that. The double standards. Michelle Obama said it perfectly. Like they do. They hold her to a higher standard than they do him. So if they say, well, she did this, and you're like, but he did this, like they go and they talk about, for example, like her background too, right? Before she was in the White House as the vice president, they talk about how she was in a relationship with Willie Brown and stuff, right? And it's like, okay, but that was a consensual relationship. You look at Trump; he's cheated on every one of his wives, right? So like, but they don't see that. Yes, exactly. Because, apparently to get elected, that's what you have to do is like, sleep with all the constituents, but whatever. If women could sleep their way to the top, they would be in charge.
Yeah.
So
already would have been done.
I heard Mr. Jones say that once, and I was like, that is gold. So, but there is such a higher standard. Like you could say the exact same thing about both of them, the exact same. And they expect more out of her than they do of him because that's just Trump. That's just how he is.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good.
No, I didn't. I honestly thought you were finished. I did not mean to jump in. Keep going.
You're good. You're good. No, you're good. I was just that was all I was gonna say. It's wild.
All right, Mrs. Radical, I am not afraid to share my big thing that I know that is happening underground here and has been for a while. Do you think that this is appropriate time?
Sure.
Okay. I found out, this is why I'm anonymous. I found out in 2017-18 from a family member who's MAGA about these underground private militia that were in our area. And this is my first time telling the story. And so I did a deep dive and I found them, and I found their training grounds and I found their sites, and I've got to tell you, there are probably by this time, I'd say there are 5 cells in my state. There are 3 right around me, and they have been communicating with him. I saw it myself, and in 2018 I did all of the research and I turned it in to the FBI.
Nice.
And they did a story on it, and what they did to punish them was they made them make their social media profiles private instead of publicly, because they were recruiting 17 and up and all of their videos. And when I tell you, these are not Navy SEALs, they are not middle-aged, overweight guys. These are probably 95% younger ex-military or young men in this country that are disenfranchised. And The U.S. military bases here have only been playing Fox News, and we just found out about that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of why the military bases are full of MAGA, and that's why they say the military's against. So they're not going to be fighting, and I'm still watching this underground on other sites. And I have to tell you, they have big plans. I mean, big plans.
Yeah. So the only thing I would say to that though is that like in the US military though, like they have an oath to the Constitution. They don't have an oath to a person. They have an oath to the Constitution. So if active members of the military are going against them, that's traitorous. Like that's treason.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
completely agree, but I will tell you, until you have seen, and I had shared it with Mrs. Radical and Radical back then, and until you see the extent and the depth, I mean, we're talking for weapons, it's ridiculous, and they even have a camp that is all exotic snake species that they are planning on turning loose that are like mambas and things like that. These people, regardless of if it lasts a day, people are going to get hurt because these people are angry and they are crazy. And that's the part that worries me. And I've done a lot of research lately. If you go to, there's a website, and it's the Southern Poverty Law Center. And I will type the web address down here. It has a hate map, and it extends to Canada. It is incredible, and I was reading before I came on the live. I'm sorry. Y'all have over 100 hate groups in Canada that are associated with ours, like the Proud Boys. And it says those are active right now. But if you look at that website and look at the hate map, it will terrify you.
Right.
Thanks for sharing that. I'll share some of the links after that you sent to me on an email. Zojin just wanted to step in and share a little bit of perspective about his point of view on. Well, why don't you just share your thoughts? You can speak for yourself.
Sure. My prediction that I hope I'm wrong about, and maybe you guys can talk me out of it, tell me if it's too conspiratorial. I think if Harris wins, which I think she will take the popular vote almost guaranteed, it's not going to matter. And the Republican governors are just going to refuse to certify the electoral vote. And it's going to go to the Supreme Court, which is in Trump's back pocket, and they are going to award him the presidency no matter what the vote is. They did it with like Jeb Bush did it to give it to Bush instead of Gore way back when, and the court now is even worse.
I agree with you, unfortunately, and what's going to also happen is Mike Johnson is already talking of, but he's the one that has to certify the election. I mean, that's like our worst nightmare.
The North Carolina, like the head Republican in North Carolina, the head of the Freedom Caucus there, already tried to give their electoral votes to Trump before the election even happened.
Yes, and did you see what happened in Virginia?
No.
They were purging hundreds of thousands of Democrats off
Oh yeah, no, I have. Yeah, they're
registry.
purging voting records, like
Yeah.
voting.
Yeah, but
lists,
it's within 90 days, so they weren't allowed to do it. So they actually have to allow everyone to be able. They have to reset it all and allow everybody to vote.
Or have
But
you
the
seen their
Supreme Court
lighting
voted
ballot
that they
boxes
could
on
be
fire
purging.
now?
I did. I saw the lighting ballot backs on
Yeah.
fire. I mean, I smell fear,
There's
and
three. There was
I
three states.
totally
Three,
expect there to be discourse and violence. I'm not pushing it. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
great thing. I expect it to happen, but I expect too, they, they know what's going to happen. Kamala knows what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Biden knows what's going to happen. We have seen this. They will be planning and they will be preparing.
If you listen
Yeah.
to the MSG rally, which, let's be honest, it was another 1930s Germany because everybody was saying that. I fully heart. When you listen to them speak, you hear the fear in their voice. They are trembling when they speak, and it is scary as anything. I have been trying to warn people. I have been trying to find any way I can get people into, like, come up to Canada. It is astronomically insane, and it it terrifies me to
So
no end.
you mentioned this in our Discord, like in my other Discord, right? But you were talking about how they were like there was fear. Fear in whose voice? That's what I'm wondering. Because
Um,
if it's the people who were speaking, I don't agree. I feel like that's hatred. It's not fear.
I see it as fear and also hatred at the same time.
No,
If that
I don't
makes
think that
sense.
they're afraid. They're not afraid. They're not afraid.
Okay.
They are full of hatred. They are full of vitriol. They are full of they want everybody else to be afraid, but I don't think that they're afraid.
This
They
is
are
their
confidently
last fight.
speaking about it.
This is their last and biggest fight. They need to win. So they need to spread their fear far and wide and keep us up at night. They need us terrified. And
Okay.
Yeah.
when you say a lie so much, you need to believe it. I feel like that's where they are.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That makes more sense.
I always talk about perspectives. So it gets really scary when we're listening to all of this shit. But then we go back, in Canada, we had the Saskatchewan vote. We didn't win. NDP didn't do as well as we had hoped. But we won a lot of seats, and there were a lot of good things that came out of that election, and changes on the front for that area. And I think we've got to look at this and go back to the Kamala campaign and look at how quickly she raised the money she did and got the votes that she did and inspired the population because she's giving people hope and promise. And that's not something that we've had for a long time.
I wanted to run because we've got 23 people in here right now. But I wanted to run a quick poll. Happy face is red, I think, isn't it? Okay. When you see the two colors up on the screen, it'll be right above the comment bar. But if you think that the Republicans, if you think Trump's going to win, and not who you want to win, but who you think will win. If you do the red color, and if you think Dems are going to win, do the blue color. There's so happy face sadly is red, and blue is the cry face. But blue if you think that Kamala is going to win, red if you think that you have to hit the emoji that's right above your chat there, Mrs. Radical.
Okay, I found it.
So you have to, yeah.
Yeah, like without doubt, I think Kamala is going to win. I think it's going to be this transition process, right? And, I think Trump's looking for a fight. I think he's saying, I don't even think he's trying to win, to be honest with you. He's saying all of the worst, the most obnoxious things he possibly can. I think he's just gemming it up for civil war. That's what he wants.
I think he's setting it up so that in case he doesn't win, he has reasons to go back as to why people didn't vote for him. Well, you didn't vote for me because of this. And I mean, this is it kind of goes to the polls thing that I was talking about earlier, right? If you look at the polls here, and so if you look at the polls, it shows that it's neck and neck, and I don't think that it's as close as as they're saying. The media says it's closer. Like everybody, the media and the polls are all saying it's close. And I mean, a lot of that is just, I think a lot of that is honestly for like creating the excitement around the election and, you know, like the buzz and everything, right? But if you look at some of the polls, and Emma Strong knows what I'm talking about because Amanda talks about this in her poll or in her live every night, but there are certain polls that are right-wing polls. And what they're doing is, because you can look up what the demographics are of the people that they poll in from each of these pollsters, okay? There's certain ones where the demographics are older, palm-colored people. And those people tend to vote Republican. So they have a very strong favoring of Trump in those areas. Whereas the other one, like all the other ones are actual, like legit polls, right? So that's why you have like a stronger favor going towards Donald Trump. But also with the polls being that tight, he has something to go back on and say, well, the polls were telling me this. Why didn't this happen? There has to be fraud in the election. So I think there's a lot of that's going to happen. Because he's already setting it up for it. He's been setting it up. He's been setting it up since 2016.
He actually changed his stance about 6 months ago, and he said out loud, it doesn't matter whether I win the election or not, I will be your next president. So he definitely is planning. And
they're planning on cheating.
he already is cheating. He's doing everything he can to. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday in Florida, one of the election officials was carrying ballot boxes and was going on the freeway and left the back doors open, and a dash cam of a car behind them caught 3 ballot boxes flying out of the back of the vehicle. And it's things like that, like the fire up there. But you know, what's sad is all of the people, and I will say that, is it Smarcy? I can't.
Smarsh, yeah.
Yeah. I know where she's coming from with that the Republicans seem scared. And I think what the place is that she's saying that from is none of them wanted him. He bullied his way in. They all are backing somebody that they know is destroying their party, and they know they're probably going to end up like Steve Bannon and the rest of them in jail because of him. But I heard it best the other day. They said in Trump's, when MAGA says, but he didn't do any of those things first time. He didn't destroy the Constitution and all. And a person who works at CNN was in the live, and he said, but everybody in the White House was able to steer him away because he forgot about things, and he would come up with these irrational things he wants to do, and they would all not write it up and all and hope he forgot about it, and then he was on to the next crazy thing. Well, now none of those people, no rational people, are going to be around him. It's all going to be his loyalists that will do whatever he wants.
Yeah, some people were just talking. Steve Bannon just got out of jail.
Yeah,
he did.
He's running his mouth again yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as he got out, he was on the campaign trail.
Did you see Elon Musk's thing? Same thing as Steve Bannon. acknowledging they know Trump's policies will completely devastate America's economy. They just think that's a good thing because they can rebuild it with him at the top.
There's a new
gross.
campaign that started tonight on Twitter, and it's the number one top place on everything, and it's called Right for America, RIGHT, and their slogan is America needs Trump. And it is.
Yeah, I wanted to just make a comment to Zojan's. You know, the fear of what you said about how they're just going to ignore everything that's ever been written about their parliamentary order. There are Democrats working in the red states, and they have teams ready. They know this is going to go up to the federal court fairly quickly. This isn't going to be like the last time. And they have people in place that when the state judges, the state judges are going to be the ones that demand the election results be accepted, and they will appoint the people to accept those ballots, because they're not going to go through what they went through the last time. And they actually have people in place. I know they do in Tennessee. I know they do in Georgia. North Carolina has a team ready. So there are people in the background preparing to fight back against what you're talking about, because if they can just say no and put themselves in as a president, then there is no democracy, right?
Well, it will be the end of democracy if they do that.
It will, if they're successful. And I'm not saying, but they have to, in order to be successful, they have to get all of these states, and they don't have that.
No.
They don't
know. They only have to get enough states to get
it's
enough electoral votes.
Yeah, it's only enough to get 270.
Like if they had done it with Georgia before, he would have been president. They only need a couple of states to do
Can Biden roll it into a state of emergency because there's so much cheating?
No, it's only in wartime.
I doubt it.
What he could do is
it's only in
resign and make Kamala Harris president before January 6th. That's a possibility.
And Mrs. The electors for each state, they don't answer to anybody, and that the swing states, like my state of North Carolina, is red, and that concerns me because there's already shenanigans going on everywhere. So if the swing states, and that's all that it takes for him to win, because that's stupid the way our politics and our voting is set up. But North Carolina, Pennsylvania, there's like 6 or 7 swing states. And if those electors take those votes, and doesn't matter what the popular was, and they pick him, that's another way. And I'm not trying to be fearful or fearmonger. I just lived this since 2018, trying to do everything I could to educate people to be on the lookout, and it's like snuck up on everybody still. So my answer to it all is nobody thought it was going to happen in Germany either.
And it took a long time. It didn't just happen overnight in Germany.
What did I say earlier? Right? It didn't start with gas chambers. It didn't start with gas chambers. It starts with Lügenpresse. That's what it starts with first. Lügenpresse, and then going from there. So, you touched on something. There were 2 other things that I wanted to touch to it. One other thing for sure. But you touched on the electoral system. So we were talking about that earlier too. And the electoral system, honestly, like there's some states that have voted against, like they've changed it and they do ranked choice, which I honestly, on a large scale, I think ranked choice is a good way to go, because there's so many more that it would take a mass amount of people to affect anything within that. If it's a small group of people, anyone like skewing or doing like, because MS Lotus was talking about before, but like, you have people who they're gonna vote for somebody from the bottom to be in second or first or something like that as their first, just to mess it up and have somebody terrible go in there, right? But I think if you have that on a large scale, ranked choice voting isn't gonna affect anything. But ranked choice voting would be an amazing way of going. The one problem I have with our own Canadian politics is that we don't vote directly for our prime minister or our premiers. I think I don't like that. Because sometimes the people that are in our party, that are in our ridings, that are representing us, it might not be the exact person that I want representing us, but I'm voting because I need the person that's at the top of the ladder to be the person leading the charge, right? So it's, I don't know, thoughts on that, thoughts on electoral systems, because I know the Electoral College like needs a huge revamp down in the States. I think it kind of goes to what Sean was talking about last week, Mule Politics, with like urban areas versus rural areas and like the population density and how it looks like it's more red than it is and than it is blue, and yeah.
It was a big part of why I voted for Justin Trudeau initially, is because he had run on that piece for a while on election reform. And I think that we need reform, in the United States and within Canada. It doesn't work for the people. It works for corporations. It works for rich people, but it doesn't work for the average citizen, a lot of what's going on.
My question is, if Trump bites, some fifth dimension of hell gets in, and he raises the tariffs, what is that going to mean for every country that imports goods to Canada?
Nothing. What would it do anything for Canada?
To the U.S.
It's going to go
To the
Nothing.
US.
It'll
They're
affect
gonna
us
put
because there'll be tariffs on us, but that's it.
If I buy a
they raise the
dishwasher-
money. The companies in those countries raise their prices, and the tariff taxes go on to the consumers.
Yeah. So if I buy
That's
a
what happens.
dishwasher, I might be, instead of spending the $550 that I normally spend, it's probably going to jump up to about $950. Right? Because you're going to have to pay those tariffs and those taxes and everything. It's just a tax.
Okay.
Tariffs is another way to say tax.
Yeah.
On imported goods.
So he's going to cut taxes for the wealthy still, and then tariff all these other countries, and that's still going to make everybody poorer. Like it doesn't make any sense. Okay, we were on the Electoral College though. The missus wrote something in there. The Electoral College is 100%. It's skewed towards the Republicans all the time because they never get popular vote ever. The Republicans haven't gotten a popular vote since Reagan. So it definitely needs a reform because it does favor them more. But I don't know what anything else, like what other way would be more suitable aside from ranked choice. Silence. Oh, look, Tracy, come on up, Tracy. Hi.
I'm Tracy. I'm 62.
Hi, Tracy.
I am from the States. I would like to speak on the Electoral College because it is in our Constitution. But the Electoral College, as the Constitution has it set up, they do not have to vote like their state voted.
Right.
If the state voted for Kamala, they can take their electors can take their votes and turn them around and give them to Trump instead.
She's exactly
It's always been
right.
set up that way.
So that seems like so undemocratic.
Okay,
It's
this
not.
is why do you know why the Electoral College was set up?
No.
Okay. Back in the days after they you know, put a constitution together. Okay. They didn't have television. They didn't have radio. Really no communication across the states. So when people were running for office, they couldn't go from state to state to state and run. So they put an electoral college in place,
Yeah.
which was supposed to be your more educated people. And they would actually make the final decision for each state how they would manage their own vote, so that these uneducated people couldn't do that. But now we're in an era where we have technology in the palms of our hands.
Yeah.
Information is easily gathered as long as you go to the right places to get your information. I would never trust a .com site to save my life, because I can get a .com site, but and if you listen to the right channels of news, because like CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. Hang on, I probably got some noise going on here.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's some background noise.
Hang on, I'm gonna get rid of it.
You good?
It's my TV. Hold on. I forgot. I got headphones
popular
on.
vote and does not reflect. It's supposed to be reflected in what the electors do, but I think the electoral college should be gotten rid of, because it seems there are so many people in the states that never have voted, so they say, what difference does it make? Somebody can override what we say. So it is asinine.
Now, every other elected office in the United States goes by the popular vote. The only one that doesn't is the presidential vote.
Yeah. Because it goes by, well, technically what it does is it goes by popular vote within the state, and then that state electors go towards that, like towards the president.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just reading it because I looked it up, and it's Article 2. So I'm looking I'm reading it as we're talking about it.
And
Right.
the population of the state determines how many electors we have. So, like New York and California, Texas obviously have a lot more than a lot of states do, especially like Montana, that's just barely, popularized compared to a big city. So they don't get an equal say. It's a lot coming out of specific states.
Yeah. Oh,
Florida.
Thank you. Thank you for extending your subscription.
Oh,
Has it been a month already? I guess so. Okay.
Wow, time flies when we're having fun learning.
Thanks for the follow, Tracy. Yeah. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Who do you, I mean, I guess on Tracy and MS Lotus, because you guys are down there. Like, despite all of the other stuff that's going on, like, what do you think the end result's going to be? What do you, in the vote, what do you think the end result's going to be?
Well, Kamala is definitely going to win the popular vote.
Yeah.
Now, depending on how bad, and the Republicans are really good at this, on how bad they gerrymandered each one of their states, especially the red states and the red governors,
Yeah.
that could turn even though it's a popular vote, they could get more red votes than they do blue votes, because of the way I live in Tennessee. Tennessee is a red state.
Red, yeah.
We have 96 counties. One county has always been blue, and that's our state capital, Nashville. Davidson County has always been blue.
Yeah.
This past year, they decided to gerrymander it, and they split Nashville into 3 other different districts so that it became a red county now.
Wow.
Yes. So we used to have one senator from Tennessee, one Democratic senator from Tennessee, and one Republican because of Nashville. But now that they've done that, we'll never see another Democratic senator from Tennessee. Unless some of these things changes. I do believe there is a red wave coming, and that red wave is going to vote blue at the top of the ticket, and they're going to vote red at the bottom of the ticket because they want their house, they want control of their House and Senate.
So nothing's going to get done.
Right, it will keep Kamala from doing anything.
Wow.
And for the first time in a long time, the House, all 435 seats are up for re-election this year.
Yeah.
Usually it's every 2 years, half of it's up and half of it's not. But now it's all of them this year.
Brought up a lot of things that kind of justify why I have so many concerns as to what will happen.
Right.
Now, I
So,
know we
just-
have militias here in Tennessee as well.
Yeah. So despite that, what do you think is going to happen, Emma Strong?
I think the blue vote is going to win popular. I think that dirty politics are definitely at play, and I think that even if it's not violent, then it will be at a minimum Mike Johnson not certifying the election and the Electoral College, no matter what the states do, saying that they're red votes. And I honestly think that we've got the worst part of this is after November 5th.
You know, Johnson's running unopposed too, hey?
Yes, I believe he is.
Yeah, I was looking it up because the thing is like the House gets sworn in before January 6th, and so if Johnson had lost his seat and got sworn in, he wouldn't be able to do any of the stuff that they want him to try and pull.
Right.
Yeah. There's also theories going on that I've been hearing that like if I think it's a big if 45 wins, that they're gonna do the 25th and Vance is in instead.
Uh-huh. But that's what the nationalists, the Christian nationalists have had planned the whole time.
That's what they want, yeah.
That's why they pushed J.D. Vance on Trump, because Trump can't stand him.
Yeah, because as bad as we think Trump is, Vance is worse.
Yep. And Mike Johnson and him together, oh Lord.
Sorry.
What?
Somebody in the comments made a really hilarious. If Vance gets in, they need to remove all the couches.
Absolutely. And futons
There's like
and anything
there's
like that.
two right in the Oval Office, so
Uh-uh.
oh my god. Oh, that's funny.
What does Fuzzy keep saying in the comments? People
I don't know.
like us?
People don't like us. People don't like who? I don't even know what they're. Hang on. I can see what. Let me see. What are their comments?
People wake up.
People wake up, they going, ha ha ha, smell the coffee, they don't like us. I don't want to say this, our people love us. I don't know who you're talking about. Who's us? Who's us? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I wanted to go with this. I just wanted to, like, you know, kind of go over the US politics and then kind of relate it back to Canadian politics and how things are going up here, because we're extremely affected by everything that happens with you guys. I mean, obviously, you know, you had your January 6th, we had a 3-week convoy. So you know, we try and do it, but we add maple syrup to it. So
my take is that
We add
if
something
Trump
else.
gets elected in the States,
Emma Strong, you're like banging on something.
sorry,
If
I'm
Trump
so
gets elected in the States, then PP won't get elected here because I think it'll scare enough people here that it'll push them out or push that vote. But if Kamala gets voted in the States, and I think all of that effort that Trump has, they will push into Maple Mega.
Mm-hmm.
That's really scary.
It is.
I personally, I think we need new leadership all around up here, because I think there's so many people who just hate Trudeau. They don't even care about his policies or anything like that. They just have hate for him. And so without a new leader up here, the Liberal Party's going nowhere.
It's really sad though, like,
So
just because a guy that did a pretty good job for the most part, we're not going to be able to vote in again just because I guess they did such a good job of vilifying him. You know what I mean? But so that's a little hard to swallow. But I am interested in looking at other parties and seeing what other parties have to offer. I think that's really important.
Smart. I think we need to let Wab Canoe do his job in Manitoba first, before we like push him into a federal seat.
Rob would be amazing though,
Yeah.
right? Like it would
Yeah.
be really neat to see.
Yeah. Or like I said, you know, let's just resurrect Jack Layton.
Sean Fraser
We could do his
Right.
own prime minister.
I've been enjoying a spicy Sean Fraser lately. Anyone on Sean?
Oh,
he's getting
yeah,
spicy.
I saw that. I saw a clip of him I saw a clip of him. That was good. That was good. I like that.
And he's been
Absolutely
pretty consistent, which I like.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Anybody else have anything else to add? Anybody else in the comments want to come up and say anything about the U.S. election? I mean, it's 5 days away, guys. 5 days away. I'm personally going to be going live on this, like on my own account, that day to, like, you know, just talk about the election as it happens and all of that kind of stuff. I'll be doing American makeup, probably. Not Halloween makeup. Yeah.
I am
Tracy sees all my makeup things.
Yes.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks
Yes,
for
I
coming
do.
up. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and grandkids are home from trick or treating, so
Oh, that's exciting.
I'm gonna go steal some candy.
Yes. Go get the good stuff.
Have some for me.
Yes.
Tracy,
Have some
I'm
for
going
me.
to send you a follow. Thank you.
I think I might have already followed. Yep, I've already followed you. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll be good friends.
Yay.
I look
Networking.
forward to getting together again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming by, Tracy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have
Be a candy tester.
Fuzzy is American. He is talking about y'all not liking us up there, so he's obviously MAGA.
Oh. Well, you know, there's a. I was gonna try and be like really, really, a smart ass, And there's a reason that my garbage can is so close. It's for the mega trash. Okay. Also, okay, I'm going to touch on this because I don't think, and a lot of other people that I've heard from in lives too, I don't think Biden should have walked back his comment at all. I don't think he should have walked back his comment about calling them trash and what they are once in like the entire thing with all the crap that they say.
Yeah.
Is like, but then that goes to the same standards thing too, right? It's standards for thee and not for me, right? You know,
Well,
you're
they're
allowed.
built
I'm allowed
in
to say
be
whatever I
offended.
want and get away with it, but you can't.
They're built in to be offended.
Right.
Everything they say, anything anyone else says, it's offended. But they just
Yeah.
open their mouth and the vitriol.
Oh,
that
it was just a
comes
joke.
out
It was just a
towards
joke. You're so
everyone.
sensitive.
The one guy that I was talking to. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Radic.
No, please go ahead.
The one live I was in with American politics, this guy goes, so I said, why are you voting for a 34-time felon? Why are you kissing butt to this rapist of a man who is sexualizing young girls, his own daughter, and he's very appalling in his behavior and how he talks to people. He goes, well, that great case, that's his morals are subjective. That's subjective. I'm like, no, it's the fact that you're voting for a 34-time felon who has a great charge against him, who cannot go to most of all the countries if he does become president. Why are you voting for this guy? Well, you don't know what you're talking about. You should get out of America. I'm like, I'm in Canada, and I've been studying the politics, and get out of America. I'm up in Canada, and they tell me this all the time, and I'm like, no, that's not how that works. Couldn't give me a solid answer.
Yeah, you know, when I look at what just happened with this garbage comment and how the mainstream media plays a role in legitimizing the Trump side of that conversation with minimizing what happened. We're no longer talking about the garbage in the Puerto Rico comment.
Yeah.
And mainstream media is the ones making that choices. But mainstream media has been taken over by billionaires. And guess who has the biggest billionaire walking beside them to the point where they've now just legitimized through the Supreme Court the right to buy votes. So,
And Mrs., I want to add this into your comment and then you keep going. Right now, every single news media outlet on TV is Republican owned now.
yes.
Yep.
Same.
And same in Canada, right? So that's what we're going to hear all the time.
Yeah. But I also know that, like, when you look at all of the places that Trump, all of the groups that the minority groups he plays to, like the evangelicals, like the white supremacists, like same thing that's happening here in Canada that way. One of the things that I really see heavily leaned on is the whole gender thing. And mainstream media bites into this as well, because we are referring to, like, if I say Bush or Reagan or Clinton, you know who I'm talking about. Why can't we say just Harris? What's with the fucking Kamala? And now she's owned it. So appreciate her, love her. It's going to be like
She just says, "Call me Kamala." Yeah, she just says, "Go with it."
But
we did the same thing for Clinton, for other Clinton. We did the same thing for Hillary.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that there's a gender piece that the Republicans are really good about tapping into alongside all these other pieces. And gender is very foundational. Like, the racism is on top of gender. The sexism, the homophobia, the xenophobia, anything, it all layers on top of gender. Gender's as far as it goes. Gender's the bottom up. So that's why I always, like, kind of, want to why it's always harder for women. Then we have to remember that voting for a convicted rapist means that you don't have to talk about how many convicted rapists
Great.
are beside.
I got it. Smarsh. Grapist. You have to censor your language for TikTok. SA or grape.
Okay. So all the essay and it's done, right? So,
Yeah.
a lot of that denialism around what Trump has done is just touching on their own misogyny and not being able to face that battle internally and being given permission to dive deeper into it. That's what Trump forgot these people, the cruelty and the foundation for that.
Yeah.
Everything you said was spot on, that she is not at all, not only is she not held to the same standards, but she is not given an iota of respect as a candidate, whether female, male, or anything. And the last comment I will say in my doom and gloom event here apparently is that I know that it's very close and dear to some of y'all's heart, shelters and homeless and women who are in bad situations and all. And if he goes back into office, I will be removed from my husband as a disabled person and moved into a camp type situation. I am an undesirable, and if he ends Medicare and Social Security, I will have no income. So not only is it immigrants that are going to be broken apart, but it's going to be regular families that have someone who is half another race, or if you've been a citizen here for less than 14 years, you're deported. There is so much terrifying possibilities as to what could happen, and I hope that it all is perfect and that Jack Smith and Merrick Garland get him the day after the election, and that's the plan, and we finally see handcuffs.
Yeah.
But I can't.
That's for the January 6th stuff, right? That's the insurrection case? Yeah.
And all the 34 accounts, and then all the ones that are out there. Again, I have to think that they have had a plan this whole time, and that I keep saying they're going to save us, and I hope to God they do, because that's my saving grace.
Yeah. I've been saying it for a while, especially since I started watching Handmaid's Tale, because I only started watching it this year. After 3 episodes, I got angry. Like, I was so angry watching the first 3 episodes of that. After a while, sadly, you get numbed to it, and you're desensitized to it, right? Which is really sad. But looking at that, like, seriously, if that happens, you're looking at something like Gilead is essentially what you're looking at. And that's really scary that, like, a book like that, like, when did she write that book? Like, that book was written a while ago.
Oh, yeah, late 70s.
Yeah. And it does feel like they're playing that playbook, and watch it. If you don't watch it, read it. It provides
1985.
a lot of context. There you go.
Yeah. 1985 it was written. So, like, this is honestly, that's like Reagan time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it was like a prediction of it's a prediction of, like, what was it, 1984 Wasn't it Nostradamus that predicted something about 1984, and then there's that whole book on it and everything?
Yeah.
It's really 1985 that predicted what's going to happen in the future. Like,
And you can
but
actually watch
you know,
The Handmaid's Tale was a miniseries that was done with it too, and Kurt Douglas was in it, and I believe
oh,
Meryl Streep. I think you can find it on
nice.
YouTube.
Yeah, there's like so many different documentaries and so like they who is it? I am the John Price 2.0 watch Idiocracy. I mean, there's a lot of things out there. Every time I'm in lives and people are talking about January 6th and how there's like no evidence and there were all people being let in, blah, blah, blah. I tell everybody to go watch Day of Rage on YouTube. It was something that was put together by, it was either BBC or New York Times, something like that. But they put together footage, like a footage from the actual, like, people who were there and other footage from like news crews and all that kind of stuff. And they put it together with timestamps of like what actually happened when things were breached. It's really interesting. If you've never watched it, Day of Rage, it's eye-opening to see. Because I mean, I watched that thing. I was off work that day and I watched that all happening live on TV. And it was wild. So, I don't remember where I was going with that, but it was just about documentaries. So if there's any other kind of like documentaries and stuff like that, yeah.
It was wild. And you know, like, it goes back to this thing here where, like, you've got Kamala with a to-do list and Trump recommending the purge.
Kamala.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And,
it's like a comma and then law. Comma, law.
Kamala? Did I say it
Kamala,
right?
yeah. Kamala, yeah.
And Trump recommending the purge. You know what I mean? That's a huge...
Yeah. Oh my God. The Purge scares me too. Those movies freak the crap out of me.
I don't understand.
Speaking of that, I lied when I said I was done. You know that one of the things that he has promised is that for a day each year, police will have the ability to do
a purge day.
A purge on anybody they want to for 24 hours. They can come to people's houses. They can target people. They can get you if you're in your house minding your own business. Doesn't matter. If the police want to shoot you, pee-poo you, they can.
Yeah.
The other thing I have to say is the amount of maternal unaliving that is going on in our red states is astronomical.
Yeah, yeah.
It is so bad, and I don't know if y'all heard about this, but a couple of days ago, a 28-year-old mother in Texas was having a miscarriage at 13 weeks, and the doctors were unable to do anything because there was a fetal heartbeat that could be heard. So 48 hours she was unaliving in the hospital and couldn't do anything, and she's now unalived. And that's the kind of stories we're hearing all over the red states. And y'all, I was here when Roe was passed,
and it was a wanted pregnancy. She wanted that baby. She has it's like a 2 or 3 year old toddler that now has no mother.
It breaks my heart as a mother and a grandmother to have watched Roe be passed and to see Roe disappear. And the same thing with women's rights. I saw my mother, I opened her first credit card application for her when she got it. I'll never forget that day. It was huge in our household. And to see all this going away, I wish I never had. but I'm glad I'm here to fight
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. I wanted to address something a little bit back in the comments here. Jim Leahy, friend, how you doing? You follow me around everywhere. He wrote, as if she corrected the pronunciation of a name. Yes, I do. Because when people do it on purpose, it's a racial microaggression. So we want to show them like we want to show her the respect that she deserves as a vice president and this respect that she deserves as the future president.
And
So,
why wouldn't somebody want that correction and accept that correction? What's
right?
wrong with that?
Exactly. Most people like it would be like if somebody, future president, she's totally gonna win. But that's what I want. I kind of wanted to like end on a really positive note kind of thing and be like, my prediction is it's not gonna even be close. I already said this at the beginning. It's not gonna be close. It's not gonna be close at all. She's totally gonna win. The swing states, I've been looking at them, and Nevada, she's got Nevada. North Carolina is kind of iffy. I honestly think it might. And there's a chance that Florida might switch. You never know. Last time it did it was was Obama. Obama was the last time Florida was blue. So no, she's not far behind in the polls. She's actually ahead in the popular vote in the polls. Don't pay attention to the polls anyway. They're rigged. So that's what I think. I think that don't pay attention to the polls, don't pay attention to right wing or like any of the media and stuff like that, because I really do think that they are just saying it's going to be close to make it interesting to watch. I think we're going to be on pins and needles most of the night. Also remember that in most states, the mail-in ballots and absentee ballots are all counted at the end of the night. Like they're counted after the day of voting. It depends on which state it is. Sometimes they do it before, sometimes they do it after, but most of them. So you're going to have it looking like it's going to be red, and then you're going to see a blue wave coming right afterwards because it's mostly Democrats that end up voting ahead of time. So I don't know. That's kind of my positive thought that I wanted to leave it on. I really do think I'm so positive about this. I felt good about it for a while. And I think that this was the right move for the Democratic Party. I really do.
It was a great move. Yeah. It really was a solid move. And I'm just so stoked to see all the positive comments and people, so many Republicans are coming out for her. The Beyonce, Taylor Swift. You see the people from Puerto Rico standing up. It's inspiring.
Yeah, I love it. I think that there's so much. She's even said it before, there's so much more that we have in common than what just separates us. And also like, it's going with hope. It's moving forward with hope rather than going back with fear. Like, why would you we're not going back. I'd rather move forward with hope than go back with fear.
I think with her too, we get one of us. She represents one of us. She represents one of us as
she went to school in Canada too, by the way.
She represents a woman, a sister, a mother. There's, the working class in general. She represents one of us. Mm-hmm. Trump doesn't represent any one of us. He represents
Silver Spoon.
He represents Walmart heirs. He
represents the 1%ers.
1%ers. He's there. That's why they're pushing so hard for them, is because they're not going to have to pay tax. They want you to pay their taxes.
Mr. Leahy, if any woman slept their way to the top, all women would be in charge.
It'd be so easy.
So, all right. That's all I had.
It was a great
Anything
chat.
else, Mrs.? Yeah, I enjoyed it. This is my wheelhouse. I love American politics.
Me too.
I when I went into university, I was a theater major when I went into university, but I did take 2 poli-sci classes. One of them was just general poli-sci, and we got to learn about American and Canadian systems there. And I fell in love with the American system because I just thought it way more interesting than the Canadian system ever was. My second one was Canadian courts, which was really boring, by the way. Although I did get to go watch court twice, which was really interesting. So, but yeah, I've always just been fascinated with politics in general. I thought of running for politics when I always ran for student council.
Yeah.
But I wasn't good at the debating part of it. So I was like, nope.
Council, and I was like, I used to skip school and I used to go sit in the courthouse and watch random courts going on in Edmonton.
That's awesome. I love it.
Show up and sit there.
I
awesome.
grew up with a serial killer, and when I first moved to this community with a big
Unaliver. Serial unaliver.
Oh,
sorry.
one alive.
We want to protect our lives.
We love the TikTok shop.
TikTok shop.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have the
TikTok
TikTok
is
shop in
awesome.
Canada, we love the TikTok shop for our American counterparts.
Yeah, it's great.
Where you go buy.
I bought my American friend on the TikTok shop.
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank y'all so much for having me. I like y'all a lot better up there lately, and I would prefer if I could just ease my way on up. But apparently they follow me around, these bad ones, you know. So I don't want to bring any more bad stuff to you.
No, you're good. No, the ones down in there.
Yeah.
Jim Leahy follows me, so you're good.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be following me before it's over with. But I had another friend invite Richard. Oh, I'm sorry, husband and I to go and live in Puerto Rico. Well, that was before all this, so I'm not so sure they want me down there either.
come to Canada. I live close to the border.
I know I was going to send you a message and say, can I come live in a yurt or a travel trailer or something, you know, near y'all, so I can be near y'all? Or
Yes. Yep. Come on,
okay,
talk to me. We'll figure something out.
Before we leave, Women Against PP came up.
Oh, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
To our sisters to the south, all the best next week, because we can't do anything much for you here. Unfortunately, we can't vote, but we're with you 100%, and we need to be very, very vigilant in Canada because this is coming here. Regardless of whether Trump gets elected or not, these forces are strong, they're international, they're well financed, they're well organized. And I just wanted, because I know we're at the end of things, to say thank you for hosting this. And there is a new group. I don't know if you guys know the Lincoln Project down in the States. We now have one in one in Canada called the Pearson Project. They are on they're on Twitter. They're on Twitter. They are on YouTube, and they are on Blue Sky right now. I've just been in communication with the founder. I'm going to be sharing their videos on TikTok, of course, and trying to set up an Instagram account. And they are looking, if you have issues or things that you're interested in them doing videos on, or if you have expertise like voiceover communications, that type of thing, just send them a DM on TikTok and Chris will get back to you. But we need to, unfortunately, our mainstream media here is completely useless and has gone to the right side. So we need other forms of messaging, like we're all.
This is so weird, but we are the mainstream now.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I think like this Pearson Project, again, it's another, I don't know what kind of resources they have, but we certainly need a lot better advertising. And I also see that the federal Liberals have started their We're Not Going Back campaign today. They just put out their first videos.
Nice.
I'm a diehard federal Liberal, but I'm just going to say it's a bit weak for me. So I'm a bit more radical than that. But anyhow, just wanted to let you know, Pearson Project, if you're interested. And again, like I say to whoever's on here, women to the south, or our sisters to the south, all the best. We're with you. And the people like Jim Leahy, who I have no clue who he is.
He has a troll that follows me.
Just block him. So if I'm understanding correctly, and if I'm not, I apologize. Anyhow, have a good one, guys. Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Happy Halloween.
Thank you.
ThePearsonProject.org for Louisa was asking for a link. ThePearsonProject.org.
Awesome.
I think that's what it is.
ThePearsonProject.org. Look it up.
Copy.
I'm just going to take a look.
Reference
For anybody who's, I was going to say, for anybody who's in our Discord, I'm just going to pop it into the federal file.
Thank you.
Hold on.
I don't think that's it.
No?
No, it's a different one. They're not
Okay.
.org. They're, like I say,
Not that
check
one.
them out on YouTube is probably the best and the easiest for people who aren't on.
Okay.
on
I'll delete that one.
and they're a new
Pearson.
group. They just started this month in October.
That's
Okay.
awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Go, folks.
Oops.
I'm glad you and Mrs. Radical got so much time today to
Oh my gosh.
let it all go. Let it all flow. It was nice to hear.
I love U.S. politics. They don't love our kids.
Yes, Beaver-based channel
Sounds
on
weird.
your politics. That's not a bad thing at all.
I found
yes.
out something today, and I'm sure Nerdy knows it, but it was the coolest thing. One of the lives that I subscribe to, they held a subscriber-only live. So we had a completely safe space to go in and just decompress for like an hour and just chat among ourselves without any guests like Jim coming in.
Whose live was it?
Jack Attack.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's I'll forward you his thing and
Okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say, for anybody who is interested, we do have our our subscriptions. So when you subscribe, you do get access to the Discord. When you go into the Discord, you do need to verify your account first, and then also put the 100% for the rules. Mrs. Radical hasn't done the rules part yet.
I was looking forward to today and I couldn't find them.
So it's in guidelines or get verified, and to get verified, and then there's like 100% underneath the rules, and you just have to hit that, and then we know that you've read the rules.
Okay.
So you have to answer the questions and then hit the rules thing, and then you have access to the rest of the Discord and all that kind of stuff. So we have some resources that are going to end up putting in there, and we've started putting them in there. It's just as we find them and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was all.
Okay.
I need to get ready for trivia.
Okay. Well, I have to drop, but this was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for hosting
Thanks.
this.
It was good.
Great
It was,
job.
it was perfect for you to do your conversation on U.S. politics. It was perfect. Anyways, we'll see you all next
Okay.
week, and we'll have
Fantastic.
Happy trivia.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, Emma.